Today, I spoke to David Bruce, a classical composer who had a successful career but decided he wanted to be a YouTuber. So at 50 years old, he started a YouTube channel and grew it to over 300,000 subscribers.
So it's proof that even for something like me, it is possible.
And in this video, we go over how he managed to get to where he is today, how he grew a channel in a small niche, how he decides what videos to make, and a specific breakdown of his most viral videos and why they were so successful. And stick around, because David revealed the one thing that consistently makes the difference between his videos getting a few thousand views and a few 100,000.
Something that took me a long time to learn is most of my big videos, they wouldn't have got where they are without having tweaked that.
All right, welcome David. So first of all, tell me a bit about who you are and what you do.
My name is David Bruce. I'm a classical composer. I also run a sheet music website which has arrangements of pieces called 8notes.com. And about 7 or 8 years ago, I set up a YouTube channel which talks about music in general, composing and things around classical music. And it's got about 300,000 subscribers.
So for anyone watching who doesn't know anything about you, in 3 quick steps, could you tell me a bit about growing up, what you were doing before, and the point that put you on the path to get you to where you are today?
So I think it starts with music. That's always been my driving passion since I was about 4 or something. But I also had a computer angle. When I was a teenager, the first computers were just emerging, and when the web came along, I started playing with setting up websites, and eventually the two kind of merged together, and I found I could put my own arrangements of famous classical tunes onto a website and get people to subscribe to it. The YouTube aspect came 10 years later or so, in my mid-40s, a bit of an old age to start a YouTube channel. I wanted to have a more direct creative input, because composing takes a very long time. You write something and it takes 6 months or a year. With a YouTube channel, I could work with other people and do small projects very quickly and have a lot of fun doing it, which I've managed to do.
So what would you say is the key differentiator between you and other people who aren't necessarily as able to explore their creative side whilst being able to earn a living? What were the main reasons you were actually able to be successful in the areas which you decided to go in?
It's difficult because I think I feel lucky that I've had both of those two sides to me, and I think perhaps also my view of money. I've always hated debt, for example. Debt is something I always see as work that I'm going to have to do in the future. So I've always been very keen to stay out of debt, and always put any money that I do manage to earn aside. That essentially is like building a bank of creative freedom in the future.
And with your YouTube channel specifically, there are lots of people out there who would love to be doing what you're doing, making videos about the thing that they enjoy. So how are you actually able to grow your channel to such a large audience size when a lot of people struggle to get to that point?
I've been lucky at my age in that the 8 Notes sheet music site is my main source of income. I had a certain freedom in terms of the amount of time put into it, and I think that's why it's largely a young person's game, because it does take a huge amount of time, and I was really dedicated and committed in the early stages. Particularly, I was pushing and fighting and thinking of any little angle where I could promote the channel. I do think being something that you're passionate about and interested in is really crucial, because it means that you keep coming back to it. It means you're thinking about it even if you're not doing a video. So it's always something that allows you to keep driven and focused on it in ways that it wouldn't be if you weren't interested. I'm fairly unique in that I'm an active working composer, and there are not many of those who are on YouTube. So it's a unique angle. The downside is that it's quite a niche topic, and I'm always trying to find a balance between things I'm interested in and subjects that a much wider audience will appreciate. So very often that involves things that probably some of the biggest hits have been outside of the classical world. It's kind of trying to draw people into a subject I find interesting, but in a way that should be engaging to a wider audience, hopefully.
All right, so I want to understand a bit more about how you actually make your videos. What's your process for ideating, scripting, editing, filming, and also what do you take inspiration from?
So I start with a script. For me, the script is 99%. I'm going through 20, 30 drafts, trying to, again, frame it in a way that will be accessible, tell a good story, give a bit of intrigue, and try and balance the structure of the video in that kind of way. The animation side I do myself, and I really enjoy doing that. It's kind of pure creative fun, and even if it takes ages, I just really enjoy it. And then only after that I put in a few to camera pieces if there's a few gaps that need filling, or just as a top and tail. I'm least comfortable doing that because you have to set everything up and make sure you haven't got any bits of fluff on your jumper. And I've done less and less as I've gone on with that. And as far as inspiration, I guess obviously enough other channels, like some people have noticed sort of Monty Python style in some of my videos. In the early years, I found Casey Neistat very inspiring. Although I then learned that there's two different types of YouTuber. You know, there's a personality-led YouTuber, which Casey is, and I don't feel like my personality is strong enough on screen to be engaging in that way. So I put the emphasis on the scripting and the animation.
So I've actually got a few of your most popular videos here, and I was just wondering if you could actually break a few of them down and why you think they got so many views and why some of them still get so many views to this day. So the first one is this Kendrick Lamar video.
I did find that song particularly interesting from a sort of rhythmical analysis kind of perspective. That was something that people found very unusual, to see a classical composer talking about a rapper.
All right, and this How to Write a Melody video.
I mean, that's a more educational one. It's been an interesting one because it didn't do particularly great at first, but it's had a very consistent hit rate over the years, and I think it probably gets Google search, I think, is people typing in how to write a melody, and that comes up well. It's a very fun and edutainment, you know, it's educational entertainment, so I'm quite proud of it as a video in itself.
And then the 5 Composers video.
So this one was one of the ones that had, you know, it was a big plan, a big project. It involved, you know, hiring a room, hiring 5 musicians. So the idea was that we each write a 1-minute piece based on a theme, and you know, it was a massive commitment, but we had a great time doing it. And I've done a series of this 5 composer project, which is probably one of the I'm most well known for.
All right, so what would you say is one critical thing about what you do that no YouTube video or course has ever prepared you for?
Something that took me a long time to learn. It's not something nobody says. You do hear about it quite a lot, but it is the thumbnails and titles. It's something that I hate doing, but I've learned from bitter experience how much of a difference it makes. You know, I've had probably most of my big number videos started off, had a sort of modest initial period and then kind of flatlined. And it's only when I've started tweaking the thumbnail and trying to find, you know, sometimes throwing tens of different thumbnails, completely different approaches, until I find one that I can see from the stats is starting to take off. However crazy annoying it is, putting almost as much time into thinking about those as the video is probably the key thing, which takes a lot of YouTube, a lot of time to realize, I think.
All right, yeah, so for someone who's at level 0, who maybe wants to become an entrepreneur or start a YouTube channel like you, for example, what is the one piece of advice that you would give to them right now?
I think it's the classic one of making sure that you're passionate about what it is, because that just drives everything. It's like the powerhouse of your entrepreneurial spirit, and it's so much easier to put that effort in when it's something that you enjoy and are really interested in.
All right, so now I've got a slightly different section. I'm going to ask you to blindly rank the top 5 most important things for YouTube success. So the first one is thumbnail design.
I'm going to be safe and say 3.
Okay, and the next one is audience engagement. So responding to comments, building the community and that sort of thing.
I guess it depends on your channel. For me, I would put it a little bit lower, that it hasn't been a key factor in building the channel. So I'm going to give that a 4.
All right, and the intro / the hook.
Let's give that a 1 because, we'll give it a 2. I'm going to leave a space just in case. You know, you've got to get them to click, but then you've got to get them to see that the reason for their click was justified and that it's going to be something interesting that will keep them watching.
All right, and consistency / upload schedule.
I less and less think consistency is important. Some of my favorite YouTubers only post once a year, so I'll put that at number 5.
And so that means your number 1 place is content quality, which is honestly fair enough.
That worked out surprisingly well.
All right, amazing. Well, thank you for coming on, David. If you're interested in checking out his YouTube channel or any of his other links, then they'll be in the description. And that's pretty much it for the interview. So thank you again.
Thanks for having me, and good luck with the new channel.